It's not your muscle, bones, and joints that make you feel old. It's probably your gut. My name's Daryl. I'm a award-winning massage therapist, athletic therapist, and holistic nutritionist. And I see people come into the clinic every day from three major things. They have poor gut health, they have poor digestion, and then they generally have something going on with the liver and the gallbladder. And these manifest differently inside the body depending on what it is. Sometimes it's all three, sometimes it's mostly just one. Generally, they're all interconnected and interrelated, and there are things that you can do and things that you can take to feel better. So if you have poor digestion, you're probably going to have tight neck and shoulders, mostly onto the traps. Most people blame this on the computer, which will play a little bit of a role, but if you work on stomach and if you work on digestion, this starts to feel better, and you don't get the headaches, you don't get the poor tension, the tightness going on into there. If you get a little bit of liver and gallbladder, generally it's that uncomfortable friend that you have on mostly your right side up into there. You can have left-sided neck tension as well. You'll have some bloating kind of 45 minutes after eating, if it's more of the gallbladder. Stomach can happen a little bit earlier. You just get a little bit kind of uncomfortable up into that area. If it's the gallbladder as well, you're going to have more of a floaty stool occasionally. This doesn't have to be all the time. This can be transient. Just depends on your system of what's going on actually into there. And the other one, and the main one that I see if people actually want to start feeling better, is more focusing on gut health. So probably the number one sign that I see is usually hip issues, and it's mostly just tension and tightness. That's always generally there. So there are things that you can do that can create back pain, that can create knee pain, that can create issues mostly onto your right side, depending on what you've got going on. Generally, it's some type of dysbiosis, which is just a fancy word of saying you got something going on that your system doesn't like. It could be a undergrowth of good bacteria, it can be an overgrowth of kind of bad bacteria, or it can be more of an infection like a SIBO or a candida, or generally a combination. I've had both. They're not overly comfortable. They are signs in your body that can help you lead towards that if you don't want to do any big expensive tests. I've done both. The tests were a little bit easier, but I'll show you a few things that you can take for your gut health. It'll be mostly kind of gut health related, so you can kind of figure out what you can do, but you can also pair this well with your body of what you generally pop up. So for me, most of my signs for poor gut health, some liver issues going on, were a lot right-sided up into here. So I played baseball, did some volleyball stuff, so most of my stuff appeared onto like a rotator cuff tear. Eventually, once it started to got bad, there was some numbness, tingling onto that right side for me. Usually there was a spot on that back. It's kind of indicative of the gallbladder area. Quite a bit of hip tightness on the right side, calf tightness on as well, both sides, generally a little bit more on the right, some right ankle issues. Mostly, if you're having stuff that's happening on the same side, generally it's kind of more related to tissue and tension tightness along what I would say is more of the viscera, the organs. So there are a few things that you can kind of do to help out with different like gut health supplements. You can pair those generally well with what you're feeling into your body, so you don't have to spend a crap load of money like I have on certain supplements. So one of the good gut health supplements would be like a zinc carnosine. Zinc carnosine helps out with leaky gut. It helps out with the gut lining repair. It helps out with IBS. It can help out with stomach ulcers as well, with H. pylori. So once again, stomach related stuff, you would think top of the traps, usually left side. If you get a lot of left-sided issues, generally you're maybe a little bit more clumsy on that left side, or you're just confused with why everything hurts on that left side. It could be knee, could be ankle, could be lower back, neck, shoulders, something like that. So that is another good one. You can also do like a Saccharomyces boulardii, which helps out. This one's more like a diarrhea beneficial things. It helps out with regulating some of the bowel movements into there, from more of the softer stool into the kind of the firmness up into there. It really helps out with the immune support. And what it can also do is it's a pathogen inhibition. So that helps out with the binding of the harmful bacteria like the E. coli's, the salmonellas. So we're probably thinking a little bit more gut health. Usually I use this, the Saccharomyces boulardii, on more of the right-sided hip issues. Generally some tension, could be some tightness, could be diagnosed, could not be diagnosed. I like this is one of them. It's not going to be a cure-all for sure. Generally you have to pair this with a few things, but this can be a beneficial aspect of it as well. It can also help out with some enhanced digestion, boost the activity of digestive enzymes in the small intestine. If you kind of need that. Generally digestive issues, once again, right side of that neck up into there, top of the shoulders. You can also use a omega-3, which is beneficial. That helps out with inflammation, but it also boosts beneficial bacteria like bifidobacterium and the Akkermansia. Akkermansia is kind of, it's a very good type of bacteria that most people don't have. Not everybody needs it, but it is still quite beneficial. But that can also help out with reducing something called LPS. LPS is, you can think of it like a cogwheel going throughout your system, and it's just a mild irritant. Generally, I would say that's probably creates a lot of inflammation inside the body. You also have it's kind of like the background scary music that you just got generally going on. So there'll be like a low grade anxiety. Generally, you just have no idea why you're anxious. But if you have anxiety and then you've got some neck pain and stuff, that could be a beneficial one you can try. So you got a few others. You can do a digestive enzyme as well. So this is if you are having issues with some bloating, generally probably 45 to an hour and a half, give or take. That could be pressure underneath of the ribs. That's kind of what it is. It kind of goes across up into there. If you have a floating stool, that can be a beneficial one. If you're getting tingling on, generally I like that one as a start if you have a lot of issues onto the right side of the neck, over onto there, down onto the top of the trap, maybe the actual shoulder itself. There's a spot on the back in between around the shoulder blades that can get tight. It could be a knot, kind of be underneath. You can see somebody in it kind of popping up, and then you just don't ever really get that relief from that. Generally, it's not the muscle's fault. It's just kind of doing what it's told, and it's a referral point from something else. So you can see a chiropractor for that. For a while, you can see massage, you can see physio, you can get some IMS into there. Generally, it kind of keeps coming back. You'll be lucky if you get 3 days, or really lucky if you get a couple of weeks, but generally you have the same spot that just kind of pops up all the time. And then there is the different probiotics that you can use. You can use seed. Seed is my favorite of the Lactobifidus species. It works quite well for gut health. Bowel movements are quite good actually with this. This is probably my favorite for IBS and just general gut health. For the most part, most probiotics, what they don't tell you is they take all of the single strain studies that they have on the probiotic, put it all into one, and it kind of says that's what they do. But if you've ever worked with anybody, not everybody works well together, so we don't actually know what is happening inside of that probiotic. Seed actually has studies onto it. I've got a deeper review of the actual probiotic itself. You can take a look into it. You can use sync therapy if you want to try it out. You get 10-15% off. So this one is a Saccharomyces boulardii one. This is a Lactobacillus bifido. Most people know what this is. This is generally what you see on the actual grocery stores, or you can get in the supplement aisle. That's generally what it is. This I think it's mostly just online for that. You can get something called a spore-based probiotic. Megaspore is a very good one. And then you can also get Just Thrive. Just Thrive is a good one as well. There's only one type of probiotic that's a little bit different in them. One's a clinician grade, one is just, you can kind of buy that by just yourself online. This, you need a link with the Megaspore. So I'll put a lot of these inside of there, but the kind of the gold standard for a probiotic would be what's called triple biotic therapy. Generally, you're just using three types of probiotics. So you want a Saccharomyces. You can get the Seeking Health one, or you can find another one, Boulardii, probably over Cerevisiae. And then you'll want to take a spore-based probiotic as well. So it could be the Megaspore. Dr. Ruscio has another good probiotic that's a spore-based as well. Just Thrive's also good. And the other one is you want a high dose, make sure it's a high dose, multi-strain lactobifido and bifido species as well. That's kind of what you would be focusing it on. So I would choose more of the probiotic approach if you have hip involvement. If you are looking just for one, if you got left-sided hip stuff, generally I would assume there's either some inflammation around the intestines on the left side as it's kind of coming around, bowel movement issues, maybe you're not getting enough fiber, maybe you don't have the bacteria to soften that up. Generally that creates issues around the left side. So hip, lower back, could be pulling, could be tension, could be pain, doesn't have to be excruciating pain, can be transient as well. So just kind of figure out what you have generally inside the body of how often something pops up. It doesn't have to be all the time, like I said. If you only have right hip stuff and you want to use it, I would use a spore-based probiotic. What these do, these act as the police essentially inside of there. So what they can do, you can think of it, I think it's called quorum sensing. So they go in, they create issues. These can bypass all of the, essentially they just kind of go in, and then they start to activate wherever they need to be. So they create essentially like the police, they go in and then they help to push out a lot of the bad guys. So those ones I think can create up to, depending on the actual species of it, can create up to like 17 natural antibiotics. And that kind of just helps, either it goes like around them, you're like, hey, dude, you got to get away. And if it doesn't, then it'll start to create some different things to push that out. It's actually quite cool from that aspect of it. One other thing that you could do is you can use a turmeric. Turmeric is most of kind of what we know for inflammation, which it does. It works quite well. I don't know if we actually need to use the black pepper portion of it. I think it kind of depends. You can probably use a little bit of a blend, but when you use without the black pepper, the pepperine, I think this stays more into the actual gut. So I would use this more if you have some like arthritis, if you have candida signs. So this could be reoccurring yeast infections. This could be itchiness up into the head, maybe a little bit of flaking, more right-sided hip stuff going on, lower back, could be around the dimple, could be a tight glute on that side. Maybe you generally get a little bit more strains, muscle pulls on the high upper groin on the, once again, kind of on that right side. There's a lot of things you can take. I've obviously taken a lot to try them out, test them out, to get my body feeling better. So if you have anything, any questions, put it down into the comments. If you want to kind of learn more about gut health, I have a book on guthealthprogram.com. It's free. It tells you what you need to do. These are, once again, these are just supplements. They can be quite powerful if you know how to use them. So feel free to ask any questions down in the actual comments. But for long-term health, food's probably the best option to actually start to generally just feel better. Plus those get kind of expensive over time if you have to continually use them. And then that book will just tell you what you need to do and kind of how to do it. There might be a meal plan into there. I can't remember now actually. But it's a pretty good start. I'll put a link in the bio or the description, and you can read more about the different types of gut health supplements. All right. Let me know if you have any questions.